The air inside the alien ship was cold and filled with a faint metallic smell. The human explorer named Rin sat quietly inside a transparent holding cell. He had been captured during a deep space mission near the border of unknown space. His ship had been damaged after being pulled into the gravity field of a much larger vessel. The moment he woke up, armored guards surrounded him. They were tall, strong, and unlike any species he had seen before. Their armor shined like liquid metal and their eyes glowed faintly blue. Rin did not resist. He knew he was outnumbered and unarmed. He had survived worse situations before, but never like this. These beings were advanced, and their technology was far beyond anything humans had achieved. When one of the guards motioned for him to stand, Rin obeyed. The cell door slid open with a soft hiss. The guard pointed down the long corridor where light shimmered like silver rain. The alien escort led him through the hallways of the ship. Strange symbols glowed along the walls. The language was unreadable, but Rin noticed that each symbol pulsed in rhythm with the hum of the engines. Every sound, every movement seemed perfectly controlled. The aliens moved with discipline, like a single mind guiding many bodies. Finally, the doors at the end of the corridor opened. The room beyond was large and filled with light. It looked like a grand hall made of crystal and silver. At the center stood two figures on a raised platform. One was taller, her presence commanding respect. Her silver hair floated slightly as if touched by energy. The other was smaller, standing close to her side, watching everything with wide, curious eyes. Rin realized he was in the presence of royalty. A voice echoed through the hall. It came from a figure wearing dark blue armor who stepped forward and spoke in a deep tone. Human. You are in the presence of Queen Isha, ruler of the Tyrus Empire, and her daughter, Princess Nira. You will answer truthfully. Rin nodded. He did not understand the full meaning of the words, but a small device attached to his ear translated the alien speech into his language. The translation was slightly robotic, but it worked well enough. He stood straight and said, I am Rin. I come from a planet called Earth. I was exploring near the border of your space when my ship was damaged. The Queen studied him with eyes that shimmered like polished metal. Her voice was calm but powerful. You entered forbidden space. By the laws of the Tyrus Empire, this makes you a prisoner. Rin took a breath. I mean no harm. I did not know your borders. My ship was lost. Before the Queen could respond, the young princess stepped forward. Her expression was not one of anger or fear. It was pure curiosity. She walked in slow circles around Rin, studying every part of him. Her hair was a soft white color, and her eyes were pale green with light shining within them. When she stopped in front of him, she tilted her head slightly. Mother, she said, her voice gentle but clear. He is small and strange. I want him. The hall fell silent, even the guards froze. The translator in Rin's ear repeated her words, and his heart skipped a beat. The Queen turned toward her daughter, her calm face showing a brief look of surprise. You want this human? She asked. Yes, Princess Nira said. He is not like us. He looks weak, yet his eyes are steady. I want to keep him. The Queen leaned back slightly in her throne. For a long moment she said nothing. The silence in the hall grew heavier. Then slowly she smiled. Very well, my daughter. If this is what you wish, he shall be yours to study. But remember, a creature from another world may bring both knowledge and danger. The princess smiled and bowed her head. Thank you, mother. Rin could not believe what he had just heard. He was not going to prison or execution. Instead, he was being given to the alien princess as some kind of possession. The guard stepped closer and motioned for him to follow. He glanced at the Queen, who gave him a short nod, then at the princess, who was watching him with a mix of curiosity and excitement. As he walked out of the hall, the guards whispered to each other in their native tongue. The translator did not catch all the words, but Rin understood one thing clearly. They thought he was weak, perhaps even a pet for their royal child. The long corridors of the ship led to a new area, filled with softer light and open spaces. The walls were covered in strange plants that glowed faintly blue. Alien servants moved quietly through the halls, their robes sweeping over the floor like ripples in water. When Rin entered a chamber at the far end, he saw the princess waiting for him. This will be your place, she said. You will stay here near my quarters. You will not be harmed. Rin looked around. The room was surprisingly comfortable. It had a bed made of soft material and a window that showed the stars outside. "Thank you, Princess," he said. Nira smiled. "You are polite. I like that. Tell me, human, what do you eat?" Rin tried not to laugh. "We eat many things. Plants, meat, fruit." The princess nodded thoughtfully. "I will ask the staff to prepare something similar. You will not starve in my palace." She turned to leave, then paused and looked back at him. "Your name is Rin, yes?" "Yes, Princess," she nodded again. "I will remember it." When she left, Rin sat down on the bed and stared out at the stars. His mind was still racing. Only hours ago he was a lost explorer drifting through deep space. Now he was the property of an alien princess. The situation was strange, but at least he was alive. And as he looked out into the endless dark, he promised himself that he would learn everything he could about this empire and its people. The next morning, Rin was awakened by a soft tone. The door opened and a young alien attendant entered carrying a tray. The food looked unfamiliar but smelled pleasant. Rin ate carefully, unsure of what was safe. When he finished, the attendant gestured for him to follow. The princess was waiting again, this time in a vast room filled with floating screens and glowing symbols. "This is the learning hall," she said proudly. "Here we study stars, energy, and the history of our people. You may watch if you wish." Rin followed her as she showed him the alien technology. The displays responded to her touch, showing maps of galaxies, ancient wars, and the rise of the Tyrus Empire. Their civilization had existed for thousands of years, spreading across hundreds of worlds. To them, humans were young and small, barely known beyond their home system. As the princess spoke, Rin began to understand something. The Tyrus people valued strength, power, and knowledge above all. But Nira, the princess, was different. She looked at the stars not with pride but with wonder. Her questions about Earth were simple but sincere. "Do your people live among the stars too?" she asked. "Not like you," Rin said. "We have colonies, but they are few. We still dream of reaching farther," Nira smiled. "Dreams are powerful. Perhaps that is why you interest me." Her words made Rin pause. For the first time, he felt that she did not see him as a pet. She saw him as something else, someone who carried a story from a world far away. The queen visited that evening. When she entered the learning hall, everyone bowed. Nira stood proudly beside Rin. The queen's sharp gaze moved between them. "My daughter," she said, "I see that you are keeping your new companion close." "Yes, mother," Nira replied. "He is different from us. He sees things in a way we never do." The queen studied Rin again, her expression unreadable. "We shall see if his difference is a gift or a threat." After she left, Rin felt the air grow lighter again. Nira looked at him and smiled. "Do not be afraid. My mother tests everyone, even me." "I am not afraid," Rin said quietly. "I have been tested before." "Good," Nira said with a grin. "Then you will survive here." That night, Rin sat by the window again, watching the stars drift slowly past. The alien world outside was strange and vast, but he no longer felt completely alone. Somewhere in this empire, among people who thought of him as fragile, one princess had looked at him and seen something more. He did not yet understand what fate awaited him, but he knew one thing clearly. This was only the beginning of his story among the stars. Days passed slowly within the shining walls of the Tyrus royal palace. Rin was still adjusting to life among the aliens. Everything around him was unfamiliar. The air had a faint taste of metal, the architecture seemed alive, and the sky outside was not black but a deep violet shade filled with moving lights. The Tyrus homeworld was larger than Earth, with higher gravity and twin moons that hung like silver coins in the sky. Rin spent most of his time near Princess Nira, who had made him her personal companion. To the palace staff, this was both strange and amusing. No one in the history of the empire had ever seen their princess take interest in a human. Some whispered that she only saw him as a pet. Others believed she saw him as a curiosity. But Nira herself seemed genuinely interested in learning about him and his people. Each morning, attendants brought clothes made of light fabric for Rin, designed to fit his smaller frame. He was allowed to walk freely within the inner palace, though guards always followed from a distance. At first, Rin found their constant presence uncomfortable, but soon he learned to ignore them. He focused instead on observing the culture around him. The Tyrus people were proud and disciplined. Every task, from cleaning the halls to training soldiers, was done with order and precision. Music was rare and laughter even rarer. It was a society that valued control over emotion, Yet the young princess did not seem to fit that mold completely. She was curious, bright, and sometimes even playful. When she was with Rin, the serious look on her face often softened into a smile. One morning, as the palace gardens shimmered with glowing plants, Nira invited Rin to walk with her. The air smelled faintly of energy and rain. "You humans are fragile," she said as they walked beside a pool of clear liquid light. "You do not have strong armor or weapons built into your bodies. Yet you travel through space. Why do you risk so much?" Rin thought for a moment. "Because we are explorers. We are not the strongest species, but we want to understand the universe. That curiosity keeps us moving forward." Nira tilted her head, her silver hair catching the morning light. "Curiosity is a strange strength," she said softly. "Many empires fall because they lose it." She stopped near a tall, glowing tree and looked at him closely. "Tell me about your home, Rin." Rin smiled faintly. "Earth is smaller than your world. It has blue oceans, white clouds, and green forests. Our people live in cities, but we still dream about the stars. Sometimes, when I was a child, I would watch the sky and wish to see what was beyond it." Nira listened carefully. Her expression was thoughtful. "Your world sounds peaceful," she said. "Our history is filled with war. For thousands of years, the Tyrus Empire fought to control the stars. Maybe that is why we forgot how to dream." Rin looked at her, surprised by the sadness in her tone. "Maybe dreams are what you need to remember," he said gently. Nira turned toward him with a soft smile. "Perhaps that is why I chose you." Their conversation was interrupted when a group of guards arrived. The leader bowed deeply. "Princess, the council requests your presence in the strategy hall." Nira sighed. "Always meetings and lessons," she muttered, then looked at Rin. "Come with me. I want you to see how our leaders think." The two entered the grand chamber filled with tall seats and glowing screens, showing maps of distant star systems. Elder Tyrus nobles discussed the expansion of their fleets and the control of new planets. The queen sat at the highest seat, watching silently as the council argued about resources and threats. When Nira entered, everyone stood in respect. She took her seat beside the queen, and Rin stood quietly near the wall listening. The discussion soon turned toward humanity. One of the older council members spoke in a low but firm voice. "We must study these humans carefully. They spread faster than expected. Their colonies are small, but they adapt quickly. That can become a threat." The queen raised an eyebrow. "You fear a race that can barely travel between stars?" "Not fear," the elder replied. "Caution. The same spark that makes them explore could make them conquer." Rin remained silent, pretending he did not hear, but inside he felt a cold weight. He understood now that the Tyrus viewed his kind as unpredictable. To them, humans were a wild race without discipline. Nira noticed the change in his expression. She leaned slightly toward her mother and whispered something, then glanced back at Rin as if reassuring him. After the meeting ended, they walked back through the hallways together. "Do not let their words trouble you," Nira said softly. "The council fears everything they do not control." "I understand," Rin said. "Fear is not only your empire's weakness. It exists in ours too," Nira smiled faintly. "You speak wisely for someone your size," Rin laughed lightly. "Wisdom does not depend on size, princess." That evening, Nira invited Rin to join her in the observation tower. The tower was high above the city, giving a full view of the alien skyline. Massive spires reached into the clouds, and energy streams flowed between them like rivers of light. The sight was breathtaking. "This is your world," Rin said quietly. "It looks like it was built by gods." Nira gazed at the city below. "It was built by pride," she said. "Our people believe perfection is power. But perfection can also be a cage." Rin looked at her, unsure what to say. The princess seemed lost in thought. Then she turned to him again. "You teach me things no tutor ever could. You speak of small joys, of laughter and freedom. I did not know how much I needed to hear those things." "I am just being myself," Rin said. "That is what makes it powerful," Nira replied. "You do not pretend." Over the next several days, Nira and Rin spent more time together. They visited the science halls where alien scholars studied energy crystals, the training grounds where soldiers practiced with glowing weapons, and the archives that held records of entire galaxies. Rin learned quickly, asking questions that made even the oldest scholars pause. His curiosity impressed many, though some saw it as insolence. One day, while studying an ancient device, Rin asked a question that startled everyone. If your people can travel anywhere, why stop exploring? Why not see what lies beyond even your empire's borders? The scholars exchanged uneasy glances. One of them replied, "Because beyond lies danger. We lost many fleets trying to go farther." Rin nodded slowly. "Maybe danger is what keeps life interesting." The princess laughed softly. "You sound like an explorer again." The scholars did not laugh. To them, risk was something to be avoided. But Nira's smile told Rin that she admired his courage to question what others accepted as truth. That night, as Rin returned to his quarters, he found a small device placed on his table. It projected a message from the princess. "Rin, meet me in the lower garden at sunrise. I have something to show you." When morning came, Rin followed the message's instructions. The garden was empty except for Nira, standing near a pool surrounded by glowing flowers. She held a small silver object in her hand. When she pressed it, a soft melody filled the air. The sound was unlike anything Rin had heard before, gentle and full of emotion. "This is one of our oldest songs," Nira said. "It is rarely played now. My people have forgotten music because it does not serve a purpose. But you told me that songs on Earth remind people of what they love. I wanted to hear how that feels." Rin listened quietly, then said, "It feels like home." Nira smiled. "Then maybe I will keep this memory for myself." At that moment, a guard arrived and bowed. "Princess, the Queen requests your presence." Nira nodded and turned to Rin. "Stay here until I return. And thank you, human. You remind me that life is more than orders and duty." After she left, Rin sat by the pool and stared at the glowing flowers. He thought about how strange his journey had been. He had come from a small world, lost his ship, and become a companion to an alien princess. Yet in her eyes he saw respect, maybe even friendship. For the first time, he felt that he was not just a prisoner or a curiosity. He was a bridge between two worlds that barely understood each other. When Nira returned later, she looked thoughtful. "My mother spoke of you," she said. "She said humans have courage but also recklessness." I told her that courage without fear is not recklessness, it is strength. Rin smiled. "You defended me?" "I defended the truth," Nira said simply. "And maybe one day she will see it too." That night, as the stars reflected in the palace windows, Rin lay awake, thinking of the future. The bond between him and the princess was growing stronger. He did not know where it would lead, but one thing was clear. Humanity, often dismissed as small and fragile, had begun to leave its mark even in the heart of a vast alien empire. The days in the Tyrus royal palace passed in calm rhythm. Rin had become a familiar face among the servants and guards. Though many still whispered about the strange human who walked beside the princess, most had grown used to his presence. He was no longer viewed as a prisoner, but as a quiet companion to the royal daughter. Princess Nira and Rin continued their lessons together. They studied history, music, and even basic engineering, something that fascinated Nira deeply. Rin explained how humans built machines with limited tools, how they learned to survive on worlds far harsher than their own. Nira listened with genuine wonder. Yet beyond the peaceful palace walls, the empire was not at peace. Reports came daily from the outer systems of strange storms forming near the border worlds. The storms moved unnaturally, shifting across space like living things. Entire fleets sent to study them vanished without trace. When news of a massive energy creature appeared near the capital's skies, panic began to spread. That evening, the Queen called an emergency meeting in the Grand Chamber. Rin stood near the edge of the hall beside Nira. The atmosphere was tense. Senior commanders and scientists argued in low tones, their eyes filled with worry. The Queen raised her hand for silence. A hologram appeared in the center of the hall, showing a massive shape, twisting in the sky above the outer atmosphere. It looked like a serpent made of fire and lightning. The creature was longer than any ship in the fleet and moved with terrifying speed. Each movement left trails of burning energy across the clouds. "This being," the Queen said, her voice calm but heavy, "has destroyed 3 ships already. Our weapons have little effect. The creature feeds on energy and grows stronger with every attack." Gasps filled the chamber. One of the generals spoke in fear. "Your Majesty, if it reaches the capital's power grid, the entire planet will fall." Rin watched the hologram closely. The sight reminded him of something from human legends, like dragons of old stories, only now alive in the stars. He leaned closer to Nira and whispered, "It is feeding on energy. If it gets more, it will grow unstoppable. The queen turned toward her daughter. You have spent much time with this human. Perhaps he has insight. Speak, human, what do you see? Rin stepped forward carefully. All eyes turned toward him. Your Majesty, he began. I am no soldier, but I have studied energy systems. If this creature feeds on power, then attacking it with weapons only makes it stronger. We need to lure it away from your main reactors before it absorbs more energy. One of the generals frowned. You suggest we run from it? Rin shook his head. No, I suggest we trick it. Use a decoy source, something brighter than your reactors, to lead it away. Then trap it where it cannot feed anymore. The room went silent. The queen studied Rin thoughtfully. Nira's eyes lit up with interest. Mother, I believe he is right. The creature is following power. If we control what it sees as power, we control its movement. The generals exchanged uncertain glances. None wanted to take advice from a human. Yet the queen raised her hand again. Prepare a decoy reactor, she commanded. We will follow this idea. The council bowed and left to make arrangements. Rin looked at Nira, unsure if he had overstepped. She smiled. You have just given my mother an idea that might save our world. Within hours, the skies above the capital filled with movement. The great energy creature, now called the Sky Serpent, descended from the clouds. Its body shimmered like living lightning. Every flash of its scales lit up the city below. The fleet moved into formation, protecting the capital's central towers. From the observation platform, Rin and Nira watched the battle unfold. The queen stood beside them, surrounded by guards. A massive energy reactor was deployed into orbit, glowing with controlled plasma. The plan was simple. The decoy would shine brighter than the capital's true energy core and draw the serpent away. At first, the plan seemed to work. The creature turned toward the decoy, drawn to its brilliance. The fleet followed, launching energy nets and magnetic fields to trap it. But suddenly the serpent released a burst of lightning so strong it shattered the nets and sent ships spinning. The creature is too strong, shouted one of the officers. The decoy is not enough to hold it. Rin's heart raced. He looked at the readings on the nearby display. The magnetic field is collapsing, he said. We need to redirect the decoy's energy through the upper atmosphere to form a cage. The technicians hesitated. That would overload the system. Then let it overload, Rin said firmly. If it burns out in the sky, it will trap the serpent long enough for your fleet to strike. The queen turned toward him. You believe this will work? Yes, Rin said. It will not destroy the creature, but it will stop it from reaching the city. Nira stepped forward. Mother, I will go with him. He understands the device better than anyone. The queen's eyes widened slightly. You will go into the storm? I must, Nira said calmly. If this works, we will save millions. For a long moment, the queen said nothing. Then she nodded slowly. Very well. Go, both of you. Return alive. Moments later, Rin and Nira were aboard a small command shuttle, racing toward the upper atmosphere where the serpent raged. Lightning struck across the sky as their ship rose higher. The creature's energy waves caused the shuttle to shake violently. Rin worked quickly at the controls, rerouting power toward the decoy reactor. If we connect the reactor's field to the planet's magnetic layer, we can create a trap strong enough, he said. Nira watched him closely, ready to follow every instruction. Tell me what to do. Activate the upper coils and synchronize them with the decoy frequency, Rin said. It must match perfectly or it will fail. She adjusted the controls with precision. The princess had been trained in technology and navigation, but never in conditions like these. Still, her hands were steady. The ship trembled as lightning struck nearby, yet she never lost focus. Outside, the serpent roared, its voice like thunder across the heavens. It turned toward the decoy reactor, now glowing brighter than ever. The creature opened its jaws, releasing a beam of pure energy. The reactor began to overload exactly as Rin had planned. Now, Rin shouted, activate the cage. Nira hit the switch. The planet's magnetic field flared, forming a massive arc of blue light. The serpent's body became caught within the field. It twisted and screamed, its form shaking as the energy around it collapsed inward. The sky filled with blinding light as the decoy reactor exploded. The shockwave hit their shuttle, sending it spinning. Rin grabbed the controls and managed to steady it just before they entered the thicker atmosphere. Smoke and sparks filled the cockpit. Are you hurt? Rin asked. Nira checked her arm, which had a small burn. I am fine, she said with a faint smile. You did it? No, Rin said, breathing heavily. We did it. From above, the fleet reported that the creature had vanished. The explosion had disrupted its energy pattern, forcing it into dormancy somewhere deep in the outer atmosphere. The capital was safe. When they returned to the palace, cheers erupted across the landing bay. The soldiers saluted them as heroes. The queen herself came forward to meet them. She looked at her daughter first, then at Rin. You have done what my fleet could not, she said. You faced the storm and lived. You saved this world. Rin bowed slightly. I only did what anyone should do, Your Majesty. The queen's expression softened. Perhaps that is what makes your kind different. You act not for glory, but for duty. Princess Nira stood beside Rin proudly. Mother, he proved that courage is not in size or strength. It is in heart, the queen nodded slowly. Indeed, the Tyrus Empire will remember this day, and we will remember the human who fought beside us. That night the palace celebrated. Lights filled the city as people gathered to honor their saviors. Rin stood on the balcony with Nira, watching the glowing skies. The air was filled with distant songs, rare among the Tyrus but revived in joy. Nira looked at Rin with a soft smile. You risked your life for people who once called you weak. Why? Rin gazed at the stars. Because that is what humans do. We help even when we are afraid. Fear does not stop us, Nira nodded. Then perhaps fear should not stop us either. Below, the city sparkled like a sea of light. The two stood in silence for a moment, feeling the calm after the storm. The queen joined them briefly, her gaze on the distant horizon. You have shown me that strength can come from the smallest hands, she said. Perhaps our empire has much to learn from your world. Rin smiled faintly. Maybe we can learn from each other. The queen turned to Nira. Daughter, you chose well when you pointed at this one. Nira's face warmed with quiet pride. Yes, mother, I did. The night ended with peace over the capital, but far beyond the stars, unseen by any. A faint spark of the serpent's energy drifted through the void, waiting. After the trial of the sky serpent, Rin's life in the Tyrus palace changed in ways he had never imagined. The human's reputation had reached every corner of the empire. What had once been whispers of curiosity among the servants had become stories told in every hall, every training ground, and every council chamber. Rin, the small human who had faced the storm, had earned a place in the empire's history. Princess Nira continued to spend time with him, though now their lessons took on a new importance. No longer were they simple exercises of curiosity or play. Nira wanted to understand how Rin had thought of the plan for the sky serpent. She asked him about his reasoning, the calculations he had made, and the risks he had taken. Rin explained each step patiently. Nira listened carefully, noting the human ability to act quickly, think creatively, and remain calm under pressure. You humans are strange, Nira said one morning as they walked through the palace gardens. You are small, yet you think in ways no Tyras could imagine. How do you see the world so differently? Rin smiled. We have to. We are fragile. We cannot rely on strength or size, so we rely on our minds, our courage, and our hearts. That is how we survive. Nira nodded thoughtfully. Perhaps that is why you impressed my mother. She sees power in many forms, but she did not expect you to show her what true courage looks like. Meanwhile, news from the council grew urgent. Other alien empires had noticed the human who had saved the Tyrus capital. Some sent delegates to request meetings. Others sent scouts to observe Rin and the princess. There was excitement, curiosity, and in some corners, fear. Rin was invited to attend some of these diplomatic gatherings, though always at Nira's side. He observed how Tyrus leaders conducted negotiations and how humans, even in a small body, could inspire confidence and respect simply by speaking honestly and calmly. During one council session, a delegate from a neighboring empire remarked on humanity's courage. We have never seen a species so young yet so bold, the delegate said. Perhaps they have potential we do not yet understand. Nira leaned close to Rin and whispered, They will learn that humans are more than they imagine. Rin smiled. We will show them, yes, but carefully. Pride can destroy alliances. Over the following weeks, Rin and Nira worked together on plans to strengthen the Empire's outer defenses. Rin's knowledge of human engineering was invaluable. He taught the Tyrus scientists how to build small energy shields that could absorb attacks, how to design quick-response drones, and how to analyze patterns in energy behavior. Nira assisted him, learning quickly and often surprising even the oldest engineers with her sharp mind and intuition. During this time, Rin began to understand more about Tyrus culture. He noticed how they valued discipline and control above all else, yet he also saw cracks in their rigid system. They feared what they could not measure or control. They underestimated emotion, compassion, and creativity. Rin realized that these weaknesses could be dangerous in the wrong hands, but in the right hands they could be turned into strengths. One day, while working in the research halls, Rin encountered an older scientist who spoke to him cautiously. "Human, you are changing our methods. Some of the council do not like it. They say you interfere with tradition." Rin looked at him calmly. "I am not trying to interfere. I am trying to help. Tradition is important, but survival is more important." The scientist nodded slowly. "You speak wisely. Perhaps the princess sees it too. You are more than she expected, small one." As the days passed, the bond between Rin and the princess grew stronger. They trained together, laughed together, and sometimes argued playfully over small details. Nira began to see Rin not only as a companion but as a teacher, a friend, and a strategist. She respected his courage and admired his intelligence. One evening, the queen called Rin to her private chambers. He entered cautiously, unsure what to expect. The queen sat quietly on her throne, her silver hair shining in the soft light. "Human," she said, "you have done more than I imagined. You saved my city, helped my people, and gained my daughter's trust. You have shown that your kind has qualities our empire rarely values." Rin bowed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what I believed was right." The queen nodded slowly. "Perhaps it is time to give humanity a larger role. You may not realize it, but your actions have changed how we see your world. We will remember this." Rin felt a surge of pride, but also humility. "I do not seek reward. I only hope we can learn from each other." The queen studied him closely. Learning from each other may be the greatest strength of all. Meanwhile, the court began to treat Rin with more respect. Guards no longer whispered when he passed. Scholars sought his advice. Even the youngest attendants looked at him with curiosity instead of fear. Nira often walked beside him proudly, sometimes leaning slightly against him in the palace gardens as they discussed strategies, history, or inventions. One day, a message arrived from the outer colonies. Humans were sending information about their own ships, energy technology, and exploration methods. Rin read the reports carefully. He realized that this knowledge could be used to strengthen the Tyrus Empire, but only if handled wisely. Nira watched him as he worked. "You carry the knowledge of your people," she said softly. "You are not just a companion. You are a bridge between two worlds." Rin looked up at her. "That is why I must be careful. Humans are small and untested, and your empire is vast. If we misstep, it could be dangerous for both of us." Nira smiled. "Then we will step carefully together." The trust between them was growing. Rin found himself thinking not only about the empire, but about the princess, her courage, and her vision. He realized that she was different from anyone he had met. Her curiosity was matched by her sense of responsibility. Her willingness to act, to learn, and to listen made her strong in ways many Tyrus could not understand. Weeks later, the queen summoned the council again. Rin was present, standing beside Nira. This time, the discussion focused on diplomacy. Other empires had heard of the human who had saved the capital, and some wished to study him, to learn how humanity could be useful to them. Nira stood firmly. "No one will harm him. He is a guest of the empire. He is not to be studied or experimented on. He is part of my family now." The council murmured in surprise. The queen raised her hand. "She speaks rightly. The human has proven his worth. He will be treated with respect." Rin felt a quiet warmth in his chest. The princess had defended him publicly, showing courage that matched her father's or any general's. It was not just her loyalty that impressed him. It was her vision. She understood the value of heart, courage, and intelligence. That night, Nira invited Rin to the observation tower once more. The twin moons reflected on the palace walls, casting soft silver light across the floor. "Do you see the stars?" she asked. "Each one is a place we could visit, a story waiting to be discovered." Rin nodded. "Humans look at the stars the same way. They see hope, dreams, and challenges. The universe is full of things to explore if we dare to try." Nira smiled. "Then we are alike in that. Perhaps that is why I chose you in the first place. You remind me that even the smallest beings can shine among the stars. Rin looked at her, humbled. I am just a human. I do not always understand your ways. But you try, she said simply. That is what makes the difference. You inspire not because of your strength, but because of your heart. The wind blew softly through the tower, carrying the distant hum of the city below. Rin realized that he had found more than friendship in this empire. He had found respect, trust, and a connection that could not be measured by size or power. As the stars sparkled above, Rin felt a quiet certainty. Humanity had been underestimated by the galaxy, but now, in the heart of the Tyrus Empire, their qualities, courage, curiosity, and hope were beginning to shine. And in the princess's eyes, he saw a reflection of what he had always believed, that even the smallest spark could light up the darkness and change the course of history. Months had passed since Rin had helped the Tyrus Empire overcome the threat of the Sky Serpent. During that time, the human had become not only a companion to Princess Nira, but also a symbol of courage and intelligence to the entire empire. His presence had changed the way the Tyrus viewed humans. What had once been a small, fragile species was now seen as clever, resourceful, and worthy of respect. The queen summoned Rin to the royal chambers. The room was vast, filled with soft light that reflected from polished surfaces. Queen Isha sat in her throne, her silver hair flowing like a river. Princess Nira stood beside her, her green eyes calm and bright. Rin entered quietly, bowing in respect. Human, the queen began, you have served the empire with wisdom, courage, and honor. You have taught my daughter and our people much about your world, your people, and the strength that comes from the heart. It is time for us to recognize this. Rin looked at her with surprise. Your Majesty, I do not seek recognition. I only want to help, the queen smiled. And yet helping has changed the empire. Therefore we offer you a title that reflects your contribution. You shall be named Ambassador of Humanity. You will represent your people to the Tyrus Empire and ensure our civilizations can learn from each other as equals. Rin felt a surge of humility and pride. I will do my best, he said sincerely. Nira stepped forward and took his hand gently.
This is only the beginning, she said.
You have shown us that humans are capable of much. Now together we can build a bridge between our worlds. Preparations for the first official contact with human colonies began immediately. Communications were sent across space, sharing knowledge, technology, and culture. Humans responded with curiosity and gratitude. The two species began exchanging ideas about exploration, energy systems, and governance. Rin spent most of his days in the palace's research halls, working with Tyrus engineers to integrate human techniques into their systems. Nira joined him, learning quickly, asking questions and providing insight from her people's perspective. The palace halls were alive with collaboration, a mixture of human ingenuity and Tiras precision. One evening, Rin and Nira walked in the palace gardens. The twin moons reflected in the pools of glowing water, and the air was calm. I never imagined humans could reach this far, Nira said softly. And yet here you are, making a difference in an empire that once saw your kind as weak. Rin smiled faintly. We have always dreamed of reaching beyond our world. Sometimes it takes one chance, one choice to show the universe what we are capable of. Nira looked at him seriously. That is why I pointed at you that day. I saw something different in you. I did not know then how important you would become, but I knew I wanted you by my side. Rin felt a quiet warmth. And I never expected to find someone like you in the stars. You have courage and wisdom far beyond your years. They paused near a fountain that reflected the soft lights of the palace. For a moment neither spoke. They only listened to the gentle hum of energy flowing through the gardens and the distant sounds of the city below. When the celebration for Rin's title was held, the palace was filled with dignitaries, scholars, and diplomats from across the Tyrus Empire. The queen gave a speech praising Rin's courage and intelligence. Nira stood proudly beside him, her hand lightly resting on his arm. Today, the queen said, we honor not only a human who has saved our people, but also the bridge he has built between two worlds. His actions show us that strength is not only in size or power, but also in heart, courage, and wisdom. Let all who hear this remember that the smallest spark can light the darkest path. Applause filled the hall, and Rin felt a mixture of humility and hope. He glanced at Nira, who smiled warmly at him. She had trusted him, defended him, and shared in his journey. Together they had proven that humans, though small, could inspire change in even the greatest empires. After the ceremony, Nira led Rin to the observation tower. The city glimmered beneath them, and beyond it the stars stretched endlessly. "Do you see all the worlds out there?" she asked. "Each one has a story, a challenge, and a chance to learn. Together we can explore them safely and wisely." Rin nodded. "Humans will continue to explore, to dream, and to learn. And now, with your people's guidance, we can do so with understanding and friendship." They stood side by side, looking at the stars. Rin thought of Earth far away, and the many people who would now know of this vast empire and its possibilities. He thought of the Tyrus Empire and the young princess who had chosen him, who had given him the chance to show what humans could do. "Will you return to Earth?" Nira asked, breaking the silence. Rin considered for a moment. "I must, but I will return here as often as needed. Humanity and the Tyrus Empire now share a path, and I want to help guide it." Nira smiled. "Then we are partners in more than friendship. We are partners in history." Over the following months, Rin traveled between human colonies and the Tiras capital. He shared knowledge about energy systems, navigation, and survival. He learned more about Tyrus customs, military strategies, and governance. In every place he was greeted with curiosity, respect, and sometimes admiration. Princess Nira accompanied him on some journeys. She studied human behavior, marveled at the differences between the species, and learned how two civilizations could work together. The bond between them grew deeper with every shared experience, every challenge faced together. One day, while visiting a distant human colony, Rin looked at the stars and reflected on his journey. He had been a simple explorer, far from home, lost and captured. Yet now he stood as a representative of his people, trusted by an alien queen, admired by her daughter, and respected by an entire empire. The path he had walked was unpredictable, yet every step had led to this moment. When he returned to the Tyrus capital, Nira met him at the landing bay. She looked up at him and smiled. "The universe is full of possibilities, Rin. You have shown us that even the smallest being can shape destiny. Together we can explore it and learn from each other." Rin extended his hand and she took it. "Then let us begin," he said. "Together, we will make sure that both our worlds grow stronger, wiser, and more connected." The queen watched from her balcony, quietly proud. The human had exceeded all expectations. He had not only saved the empire but had inspired its people to see beyond strength and tradition. Humanity, once underestimated, had proven its value in the galaxy. That night the stars shone brighter than ever. The Tyrus people celebrated the courage of one small human and the vision of a young princess who had trusted him. And somewhere in the vast reaches of space, new opportunities awaited both species. Rin looked at Nira once more. "This is only the beginning," he said. She nodded. "Yes, the beginning of two worlds learning to trust each other, to grow together, and to dream among the stars." As the twin moons reflected in the palace towers and the city glowed beneath them, Rin knew that humanity had found its place among the stars. Not through conquest or strength, but through courage, wisdom, and the heart that had never given up. The human and the princess stood side by side, watching the universe unfold before them. Their journey had begun with a simple choice, a moment of trust, and a bond that neither time nor distance could break. And in that moment, two worlds began a story that would be remembered for generations, a story of hope, courage, and the power of even the smallest spark in the vast darkness of space.